Welcome back to another episode of The Quest for Self. I'm your host, Allie. You know that moment when someone says something that's technically a joke, but it lingers in your chest longer than it should? A tiny comment, maybe even said with a smile, but something about it sticks. You laugh it off in the moment, but later, you're replaying it, wondering, was that a joke? Or was that a jab? For example, when you've been in a conversation with a date, a colleague, or even a so-called friend, where someone makes a joke at your expense. Maybe it's subtle, maybe it's masked as humor, but it makes you pause and think. Was that shade? Well, that just happened to me. And this episode isn't about dating or matcha or Pilates, although yes, we will get into those. This episode is about something deeper. It's about becoming fluent in emotional red flags. It's about learning to decode not just what people say, but why they say certain things. Because sometimes people don't retreat because you're too much. They retreat because your light is just a little too bright. So recently, I went on a date. This guy was charming, like very charming. One of those people who knows how to say the right things, when to say them, and how to say them. The vibe, well, it was flirty. The energy, it was fun. And physically, yeah, he was objectively attractive. But then he started poking fun at the things I genuinely enjoy. He made a comment like, "Wow, you're checking off every square on my basic bingo card." I'd mentioned Pilates, which I love because it's helped me get the body I've always dreamed of. I mentioned matcha, which is low caffeine and just tastes good to me. And somehow that made me basic. And I just thought, okay, I'm not going to change what I like because you've decided to label it basic. I'm in my light era. I feel good. I sit with my own energy. And I've worked really hard for that. We even talked about Formula One. I've followed Carlos Sainz, a Formula One driver, since before he raced for Ferrari. And he just looked at me and said, "Do you think that any of the guys that you're with are impressed when you say that?" And in that moment, I calmly responded, "Look, I'm not trying to impress anyone. I'm sharing something I enjoy because if the person sitting across from me enjoys it too, then that builds a connection." And right after I said that, he went radio silent. And it wasn't just the comment. It was a silence after. Like my self-assurance stunned him into stillness. In that moment, I wasn't offended. I was observing. That pause said everything. And it reminded me it's not always about what people say. Sometimes it's about why they say it and how they react when you don't flinch. That's when I started noticing the patterns. The playful jabs weren't playful. They were projections, insecurities wrapped in charm. This experience made me reflect on something bigger, the importance of becoming fluent in emotional red flags. Not the obvious ones, but the micro ones. The ones disguised as jokes. The ones that, if you're not grounded, can make you question your joy. So, here are 5 signs someone is projecting onto you. Number 1, over-explaining or over-defending their preferences. On this date, I mentioned I liked blueberries because we got into a conversation about fruit. and he launched into a full monologue about how kiwis are the superior fruit. Why? Well, you like kiwis. I like blueberries. Why does it need to be a debate? Number 2, mocking or minimizing your interests. Pilates, everybody does that. Matcha, that's so basic. These aren't comments rooted in curiosity. They're comments rooted in insecurity. Number 3, constant jokes aimed at you. When every joke is at your expense, it's not funny, it's strategic, it's subtle control. Imagine you're out with a friend, and every time you talk about something you love, they've got a snarky comment. You mention astrology, they roll their eyes. You talk about your morning routine, and they call it extra. You laugh it off the first time, but the fifth time, you start wondering, are they laughing with me or at me? Number 4, patterns of comparison. Age, status, looks. This guy brought up our age difference more than once, implying that I was older than him, which I am, and I frankly have no issue with that. And honestly, when he made those comments, I started to realize that it wasn't about me. It was about his own discomfort. Number 5, they make you second guess your joy, your vibe, or your personality. Luckily, that didn't happen to me, but I thought, what if I had been in my 20s again, less grounded in who I am? He could have torn me apart. I'm grateful I'm not that version of myself anymore. So, what do you do when you realize someone is projecting onto you? Well, here are a couple of tips and tricks that have worked for me, and I hope they work for you. Don't explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. That's emotional labor you don't owe anyone. Call it out if it feels safe. Say, this is what I like. You don't have to agree, but you won't make me feel bad for it. Or if you don't feel safe, distance yourself. Your peace is more important than someone else's ego. Lastly, reaffirm. Your joy is not a performance. It's your essence. Journal, voice note, talk to friends. Don't let someone's microaggressions become your inner voice. You don't have to shrink to fit someone else's comfort zone. Repeat this one after me. I am not for the people who need me to be less. Rejection? Well, it used to really trigger me. It made me spiral. But now, I see rejection as redirection. This guy's comments didn't reject me. Simply put, my confidence unsettled him. He retreated because I wouldn't dim my light. And the next day, I woke up, drank my matcha, and felt amazing. I didn't spiral. I reclaimed my energy because that's what alignment looks like. It's not about how someone else sees you. It's about how grounded you are in seeing yourself. So, I want to leave you with this. Never shrink yourself to make others comfortable. The right people, they won't mock your joy. They'll mirror it. They won't question your vibe. They'll amplify it. Think back. When was the last time someone made you feel small for something that made you feel alive? And now ask yourself, what part of you have you been dimming to stay digestible, likable, low maintenance? Because your joy isn't too loud. Your vibe isn't too much. Your light is exactly what it needs to be. It just doesn't belong in rooms where people are still afraid to shine. So today, take one thing, just one thing that you've tucked away about yourself, and bring it back into the light. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of The Quest for Self. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, like, follow, subscribe, comment, and share. It would mean the world. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media, The Quest for Self.